Great testimony. That woman, Kim Russel, joins us now. She's now an Independent Women's Forum ambassador as well. Kim, nice to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us, what was your experience like yesterday testifying in Congress?
Wow, it was insane. I did not expect it, one, to last so long, and two, for some of the negativity that I witnessed in there.
For sure.
But I am so glad that I could be there and for the opportunity to really speak about why we have to make sure Title IX stays intact as it is and isn't allowed to be changed from the word sex to the word gender. If that was to happen, it would be tragic for all women and girls and really all people.
Are you shocked that it's gotten to this point where you have to make a case for why women's sports should be just for women?
It's really almost laughable to me, but also extremely sad. It was 51 years ago that Title IX was passed, and the fact that now I'm 56 years old and I'm the one standing here fighting it with Riley Gaines and Sarah Perry is really insane, and so thankful for Representative Lisa McClain. She is a rock star. I really don't understand how any woman cannot be standing up for this, and every man as well, especially fathers. Fathers who have daughters who are going into locker rooms. Where are you? Do you want a man in your daughter's locker room? I don't think so. I don't want a man in my locker room.
You know, you had the experience of saying all of this at a time when it was even less popular to say it, and Oberlin College removed you from your position as the head women's lacrosse coach, correct?
They did, and they offered me a position in administration, which I chose not to take, and I chose to leave the college.
Now, isn't Oberlin known for their advocacy of and admission of women into their school? Isn't that the whole point? They kind of have a reputation for standing up for women, don't they?
Yes, and that's why when I started there, I thought it would be the perfect place for me. I was called the hippie love coach, still am, by my U.S. Virgin Islands team and others who I still coach. But I really believed that would be the perfect place for me because I could wear women's clothes to coach, not have to wear khakis and a men's golf shirt.
Uh-huh.
And I soon found otherwise as far as, whose narrative do you want to listen to, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not in alignment with somebody's narrative and they shut you down, is that really freedom of speech?
Yep.
I think all of us should be listening to understand, not to cancel people.
Can I ask, not to get too political with you, but unfortunately so much of this is, do you consider yourself a feminist? Were you kind of, or have you always been on the left, center? Do you have any sort of political ideology?
I would have said I was much more left-leaning a few years ago. And now I am honestly appalled by what I see happening. And after yesterday's testimony by everyone and listening to each of the representatives on both sides of the aisle, one, I can't see how every woman can't be on the same side. And this should not be a partisan issue. This should be a really simple, it's based on science, it's based on biology. Men and women are different. So in answer to your question, I am about as apolitical as they come. But when it comes to advocating for girls and women, I thought I was pretty progressive, and now it looks like I'm ultra-conservative.
It's
because
wild.
I believe that girls and women should have single-sex private spaces and single-sex, the ability to play on sports teams that are single sex.
Well, also
Somehow this is a conservative.
of course, and
point.
also more fundamentally, you believe that women actually exist. That's at the core of this. That woman is a real definable category, a biological definable category, and that makes you now for some reason the exception. And so, like for example, yesterday, just an example of some of the remarks being made by some of the Democrats in the committee. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yesterday suggested that, as she insisted that men need to continue to be able to play women's sports, or else women might have to disrobe to prove that they are women. She was invoking this as some sort of scare tactic. Here she is yesterday.
I mean, we've seen this in Ohio. There was a proposed ban on trans athletes that originally allowed for genital examinations on minors in order to, quote unquote, protect women. Okay,
so the point she's making is you've got to allow men to play. Like that's the requirement, or else genital exams. What is she even talking about?
Well, pretty much every sport has physicals at the beginning of the year, so you're getting a physical no matter what. You have to play any high school sport. You have to have a physical to play.
Right.
So, that is basic for high school collegiate sports. You're getting a physical no matter what, and you do not need to include men on women's teams. That won't change anything. Being single sex, or if it was co-ed, it wouldn't change the physicals that you would have to have.
Right.
So that was completely false.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I remember men's sports. We used to have to do cup checks. They would come by, clink, 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 clink. That's very specific thing. There was also this. Congresswoman Summer Lee yesterday is the ranking member for the Democrats on the committee. She outright declared that and having this position that woman is a definable category and that women should have sports unto themselves. Well, that's just transphobic. Take a listen. Take a listen here. I've got this audio of Congresswoman Summer Lee.
Although the title of this hearing implies a much-needed discussion, we're likely going to be forced to listen to transphobic bigotry. Forcing a transgender child to choose between living an authentic life and playing a game is cruel. I ask that while we sit through this hearing and hear the hateful misinformation I'm sure is going to come our way, let us not forget that children are at the core of this issue.
What were you thinking as she started? This was her opening statement. She was like, if you're on Kim Russell's side, you're a bigot.
Honestly, it made me really sad because truth is the highest vibration. It is higher than love. And this entire thing is about truth. And the truth is only females are women. Period. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot change your sex. And so I continued throughout the hearing to say that, because they kept saying, you're trying to say that to exclude transgender. And over again, I said, there is no exclusion here at all. This is about biological males playing on teams with biological males,
right,
and biological females playing on team with biological females, period. There's no exclusion in that. There is no exclusion to anyone who identifies in any way.
No, not at all. If you want to play, there's a sport available to you. If you're not good enough, then go play somewhere where you meet the talent required. That's always been how sports operate, but there's a lot of craziness going on right now. There was another witness alongside you that the Democrats had brought in. Her name is Fatima Goss-Graves. I missed this yesterday as I was citing her. I should have realized. I've talked about her before. She's the wife of the D.C. U.S. Attorney, Matthew Graves, Biden appointed. She's the head of the National Women's Law Center, which is a Democrat organization. And here's what she had to say yesterday. She said women need to learn to lose to men gracefully.
Success in school sports depends on a whole range of factors, including how hard you work and coaching and access to really good resources and facilities. And trans students participate in sports for the same reason as their kids, because it is fun, because it creates belonging and community, because it teaches so much about persistence and leadership and discipline, unless they learn to lose gracefully, hopefully. And often they learn to win with dignity, hopefully. They learn to do the sort of work that means you have higher grades and stay connected to school. I want every kid to have that chance, to have the chance to play.
Kim Russel, why can't men just play men's sports to derive those benefits?
That's my answer. Biological males can play boys and men's sports, and biological females can play girls and women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
And if the age or the area has co-ed, then they can play co-ed sports. But if it is a female only, which is, the collegiate level NCAA sports, most of them are single sex, they should only have biological females playing on the women's teams. Many people have said, what about adding another category? So to clarify that, the men's teams have always been the open category. That has always been a place where anyone can play if there isn't a team for your biological sex.
Yeah, that's why occasionally you see, especially in high school, a female kicker for a football team will come out, and that's totally fine if she wants to do that. She doesn't have an advantage by going out there. Whereas when it goes in the other direction, it's cheating.
And if she is making that decision to be that kicker, she is also, and her parents are doing that knowing the risks.
Definitely.
Right? Whereas if you add a biological male to a women's team, the rest of that team is not able to make that choice and take the risks that come with having a biological male on their team, whether that means getting slammed in the face in a competition against another team that has a biological male, or slammed in the face by a field hockey ball that gets hit by a biological male. There's, or these women who are doing jiu-jitsu and are literally having their skulls cracked.
Yeah.
And they aren't even being told that they're going to be fighting against a man. And finally, I guess they've finally gotten to the point that they're being told right before the match.
Oh my
gosh.
Is
just ludicrous.
It's completely
And so
ludicrous.
A lot are dropping out.
Well, Kim Russel, again, I'm really appreciative of you. Thank you for telling the truth, and you had to endure the consequences because of that, which makes me all the more impressed by you. So thank you very much, Kim. Good to talk to you today.